The search for Michael Vaughan continues. Michael went missing from his neighborhood in Fruitland in July of 2021. He was just 5 years old at the time. Law enforcement has spent the last year and a half investigating. But the Fruitland police chief says a credible tip led investigators to a home near Michael's neighborhood this weekend.
Crews are back out in Fruitland today searching for Michael Vaughan. Police believe his remains are in the backyard of a Fruitland home, and today is the 6th day crews are excavating the yard. Crews could be at the house on Red Wing Street for another week. This house is just 4 minutes from the Vaughn's home.
As you know, from the time Michael went missing, this has been an all-hands-on-deck investigation, and it remains very active and an ongoing investigation. You can't take one of our most precious citizens from us and ever expect us to stop. During the course of this investigation to date, we received credible information that the remains of Michael Vaughan could be found in the backyard at 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland. As a result, the Fruitland Police Department obtained a search warrant for the residence along with the front and backyards. That search warrant was served on November 11th. It was a Friday. We served that late in the evening. Upon entry, officers encountered Stacey Wondra, one of the known occupants of the home, and Sarah was subsequently arrested based on probable cause that she had knowledge of Michael's death and failed to report that death to law enforcement. The following day, the Fruitland Police Department, joined by the Idaho State Police, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, the Fruitland Fire Department, and the Fruitland Public Works Department, began a very methodical excavation of the backyard of the Wondras' home. During that excavation process, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue Mountain States detection dogs deployed multiple certified human remains detection dogs on the property, all of them alerting to the presence of human remains. Ground penetrating radar was also used and deployed, detecting anomalies in the backyard. We completed the excavation of the entire backyard and removed over 250 yards of dirt. Prior to backfilling the yard, the dirt was meticulously sifted for any potential human remains. We did not find Michael's remains. Although the remains of Michael Vaughan were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property. As of today, the whereabouts of his remains are unknown. However, the investigation is active, fluid, and ongoing. Once the excavation was complete, we conducted a thorough search of the Wondras' residence. The search was productive, and additional investigative evidence was recovered and is currently being processed.
Evidence suggests that the following individuals who are currently in custody are involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughan. Stacey Wondra, 35 years old. Sarah lives at 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Sarah has firsthand knowledge and is involved in Michael's abduction. Stacey Wondra is currently being held at the Payette County Jail for failing to report a death to law enforcement. And Stacey Wondra, 30 years old, a male. Stacey was also living at 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Stacey has firsthand knowledge and is involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughan. Brandon SHURTLIFF, 30 years old, of Kuna, Idaho. Brandon was living with Sarah and Stacey Wondra at 1102 Red Wing Street at the time of Michael's disappearance, and we believe Brandon has firsthand knowledge of Michael's abduction. Adrian Lucian, 32-year-old male out of Toledo, Ohio. Adrian was staying with Sarah and Stacey Wondra at 1102 Red Wing Street at the time of Michael's disappearance, and we believe that Adrian has firsthand knowledge of Michael's abduction.
Hello, hello, everybody. What is going on? It is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Welcome in. I'm Samantha. I am so glad to have you here at Missing PNW Crimes Revisited. I hope you guys are all having a great day. I really, really, really do. Thank you guys all for coming in and supporting Monkey. Thank you guys for always supporting the Vaughan family. Truly, truly do appreciate you all. I love watching that intro every single time, hearing JD Huff talking about Michael, talking about the evidence. It just is so very telling. He repeats that the investigation is active and ongoing and has over the past 3 years. He says that based on evidence, Michael was buried and is deceased and moved out of the back of the Wandra's yard. He also says that additional investigative evidence was found at the Wandra's house. Credible information about Michael's remains were given to law enforcement. He speaks about that, and we know that that information came from Stacey Wondra, and he calls it credible information, and we know that's the tip. We know that mountain search and rescue dogs, multiple of them, all of them hitting on human remains. And we know that mountain search and rescue has came out and said that dogs hit on the human remains and nothing else. And not one or two, but several dogs, multiple dogs hit in the Wandra's backyard. Again, everybody, thank you guys for coming in. This is Michael Joseph Vaughan, and that's who we're here to talk about today. If anybody has a tip about Michael's abduction, please call law enforcement. Michael Vaughan was abducted July 27th, 2021. There are 4 named suspects in Michael's case, Michael's abduction. They are Sarah and Stacey Wondra, Adrian Lucian, and Brandon SHURTLIFF. No tip is too small. Please let law enforcement decide whether or not your tip is credible, but call it in. The tip line, Fruitland Police Department's phone number is 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. There is over a $52,000 reward. You can remain anonymous. Be Monkey's hero. Be the Vaughan family's hero. One of the suspects abducted Michael. One of the suspects murdered Michael. One of these suspects buried Michael in the backyard at the Wandra's home, and one of them moved Michael's body to an unknown location. And any tip that is credible enough to lead law enforcement to where Monkey is today, even though he is deceased, there is a reward for over $52,000. Brandon, please, if you know anything, please start talking. If you just need to clear your name, go talk to law enforcement. It is time that Michael gets justice. It is time for the family to get some peace, to be able to move on with their lives and have Michael home. And Brandon, if you know where Monkey is, please start talking. Get it off your shoulders. Get whatever information that you have out of your system. Feel better about yourself, better about your life. Let your daughter watch you be Monkey's hero. Let the world watch you be the hero in this case by coming forward. Otherwise, You just running and hiding and doing all of the things that you were doing is just making you look worse and worse and worse. And you're worried about the way that you look already. That's why you don't want anybody to know what your involvement was in Michael's abduction and or murder. So get your shit together, do what's right for the family, do what's right for your family, do what's right for you, and start talking. Again, if you have a tip, whether it is Michael's abduction or any tip regarding these 4 suspects or any information regarding anybody else that you believe could have anything to do with Michael's abduction or murder, please call the Fruitland tip line at 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Welcome in, everybody. I am on one today. I'm on one. I've been messaging back and forth with Brandy the last couple of days. She sent me a voice recording that was like 8 minutes long. We were just talking. I'm just on one. I am ready to just keep moving forward, keep fighting, keep, fighting the fight. Here to holler out, where the hell is Michael Joseph Vaughan? Where is he? Who knows where he is? It's time to start effing talking. Let's do this. Seriously. I'm over it. 3.5 years is way too long to not know where Monkey is. The family has suffered long enough. I'm just over it all. I'm just going to keep pounding out lives and information and everything I possibly can. We are Monkey's Army. We're never going to stop, ever, ever, never. When arrests are made, and they will be made, because we know charges have already been written up, we're still going to be here. We're still going to be sitting here fighting the fight and talking about what's going down in court. That's what's happening. A new fire has gotten lit after my conversations with Brandy the last couple of days, and I'm just on one. And Brandy Rupp, you are the most sweetest and just generous person here in chat ever. Thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for being super here at Missing PNW. She has got us dancing in our chairs at the beginning of the live. Let's go. I just love seeing all that pink, all that blue. Thank you again, Brandy Rupp. I truly appreciate you. I cannot do this without everyone. Whether you're a lurker, a member, a subscriber, it doesn't matter. I cannot do these lives. I appreciate all of the support, but mostly I love the support everybody gives these missing children. There are too many missing children. Update. Well, kind of an update. I'll be doing on Kyron here shortly, because Kyron Horman's mom came out and talked to a news reporter. So we'll be talking about that later this week or early next week, but coming very soon. And I'm excited about it because I haven't talked about Kyron in a while. Who do we got in the house? Hair curlers and crime. We got the best YouTube name on the YouTube streets here. Lynn, domestic pinup, just walked in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Lynn says that there are named suspects: Brandon SHURTLIFF, Sarah Wondra, Adrian Lucian, and Stacey Wondra. These are the 4 named suspects. This was updated January 10th of 2025. Everybody's saying hello to Hair Curlers and Crime. Mama B is in the house. Halo Art, good to see you, hun. So good to have you here. My moderators are absolutely amazing. Please thank them for everything that they do. Amy, Thank you for coming in. She says, I don't understand why Brandon won't tell them where Monkey is. He is already going to be charged. He should take the deal. I agree with you. Get your attorney, walk into Fruitland Police Department, start talking. Mama B says, where's Michael? Bring Monkey home. Justice for Michael. And Michael Strong. We are Michael Strong, Brandy Strong, Vaughn Strong. We are here. We're not going to stop. Opal is in the house. Good to see you, love. Always so good to see your friendly face. Have you seen his Facebook posts? They are weird. I'm actually going to talk about Brandon's Facebook posts today because there have been some weird ones lately. Ella's here. Angel Girl was first in the house and chat tonight. Thank you for coming in, Angel. We got Bryn Marshall. Thank you for supporting the Vaughn family and Monkey. We got Rhonda. Enough is enough. Bring Michael home. I couldn't agree more. Innocent doesn't hide. Exactly, Mama B. All right. We've getting so many new faces here. Brandy Lee Ropp is in the house. She gave that amazing super sticker. So nice to have you here, hun. Thank you for your support again. Beverly is here. So good to have you. You're always showing up. I appreciate that so much. Shannon is here. Shannon has told us quite a few things. She's there in Fruitland. She was working, I believe it was at a bar. She's talked with us about the scams that the taxi service, the Faith taxi service that the 4 suspects were running, just scamming people out of money with the taxis. She's always got a lot of information. I love reading her comments after lives. We got Minky. You did. You made it on time. Thank you for coming in. Again, just showing support for Monkey. Sammy Sparrow, I love that so much. Rhonda R, thank you for coming in. Have I missed anybody up here? True Crime Junkie in the house. Hello. Ashley is here. Thank you so much for coming in. Amy is in the house. AV is here. Thank you so much for coming in, my beautiful moderator. I could listen to her voice all day long. Not joking. The most sweetest voice I've ever heard. Alicia, thank you for coming in. All right. I think I've said hi to everybody. Thank you guys all for joining. Here's a message for Brandy or for Brandon. The bees, okay? I can't with it. I don't know how many times I call Brandy, Brandon, Brandon, Brandy. It's insulting, and I'm so sorry that I do it. Here's a message for Brandon from Brandy. We're really going to start focusing on Brandon, and then we're going to start focusing on somebody else, but it's a secret.
And Brandon, you know what happened to our beautiful baby. Whether you were directly involved, but you know. You need to start talking. You need to come forward. Quit lying, quit hiding. Please tell us where Michael is. Let our family have some rest, please. Let us bring our baby home. We've worked tirelessly, endlessly. Law enforcement, stop protecting these criminals. It's time to tell the truth. It's time to own up. It's time to find Michael and bring him home. and stop your BS.
Stop your BS. Stop being a coward. You have some kind of involvement, Brandon. Is it really so hard to step up? I mean, really, any of the suspects, Adrian, Stacey, Sarah, step the hell up. It's time. You're all going down for something anyway. Start talking. Start making deals. I just want to ask for prayers for Brandy and her health, please. I was talking with her this morning. I have not heard back, but she was like, I think the dog broke my foot. And I'm like, what the heck? What? Have not heard back to find out if her foot is broken, but I'm just going to say, geez Louise, she just can't get a break. Brandy, I love you so much, and I am so sorry for everything you're going through, girl. You just can't catch a break. And we're all praying for you. We're all praying for every single little thing to go right. No, I am not kidding you, Lynn. I'm not. Yeah, something to do with Tyler coming home and the dog, and I think the dog broke my foot. I was like, you got to be friggin' kidding me. So, just always praying for you, Brandy. We love you. Sorry, it's just one thing after another for you, honey. I know that it is. I really hope you didn't break your foot, though. I really do. She says she's been watching from the bushes because she is really focusing on spending lots and lots of times with the kids. She's got a party she's putting together for Blue's graduation. Just spending lots of time. She's also working a lot in the garden, enjoying the sun, and resting as much as she possibly can. And I know that she appreciates the prayers, because prayers, when people are coming together in lots of prayers, prayer works. All right. Thank you, Ashley. Thanks you, Mama B, for the prayers. All right. Yes, congratulations, Blue. She is working so hard. She, that's one strong young woman. Reminds me of somebody else I know, Miss Brandy, Mama over there. I mean, with everything Blue has going on in her life, her brother being gone, being abducted and hurt, living with her parents that, she hears things in the house. I'm sure she even has conversations with her family now about, because she's 18 now, talking about the things that have happened. And she has pushed through that. And even with her mom being sick with her liver disease, man, the strongest young woman just pushed through and graduated her senior year of high school. That's a lot for an 18-year-old. It really, truly is. And I am so friggin' proud of her. I am so beyond proud of her. And I know her mama is so, so proud of her. They are all so proud of her. It's a huge accomplishment for Blue, especially during this time. So somebody mentioned, talking about Brandon Shurtliff's posts on Facebook. And things are a little bit weird there, okay? DC Primetime says, you're trash, Brandon. The whole family is trash because of you. Yeah, so you might as well just say something now, right? And stop worrying about his reputation or his mom's reputation or his grandma's reputation. I think we are all so proud of Blue. So, so amazing. Love it. Thank you. So I'm going to add this. Yeah, I'm friends with Brandon on Facebook. I decided, I don't even think he's watching actually the lives because his phone's off. He's only messaging on Messenger. So I think only when he has Wi-Fi. Whether he is or whether he isn't watching, I don't know. I'm going to talk to him like he is. I mean, if he gets mad at me for posting things up here that's on his Facebook, he can delete me. I really don't care. I've been tired of playing games with Brandon for a minute now. I even asked him a question earlier today. He looked at it, hasn't answered it. It wasn't even about him. It was about Sarah. Matter of fact, if anybody in chat knows, what was the time period? Because we talked about this yesterday when it got brought up in the JLR interview that we're going to finish reviewing today during this SHURTLIFF shit show. Does anybody know the time frame of when Sarah took the dog bone and the GUN to Tanner Butler? I know when she was arrested for it because it was on her and Stacey's anniversary. But when did it happen? What month in 2021? If anybody knows or if anybody can find out, I'm going to put up my email. Let me know or talk in chat. Let me just see here. Here's my email. Yes, it was after Michael went missing. And it had to have been before April, because that's when she was arrested for it, of 2021. Brandon became a member of Priest River Community Bulletin. That's nice. I need to take a screenshot real quick of that. Hold on. So I can go back to it later. Thank you, Brandy Rob. I really appreciate that. Oh, and then it's going to show my info down here. Hold on. All right. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. But yeah, if anybody knows when that happened, I'd love to know. But anyway, this is Brandon SHURTLIFF. This was, I believe, yesterday or the day before yesterday. Good morning, world. What's weird to me about this is Brandon doesn't have dark black hair. Like, he doesn't have black hair. And he is white. He doesn't have colored skin. So what's with, and we've seen this before when we put up, one of his profile pictures, he had dark colored skin, had no hair. I don't get it. Why is his avatars look nothing like him? Make it make sense. It was Stacey and Sarah's anniversary. I'll look up wedding. Yes, Sarah was arrested on Stacey and Sarah's anniversary for the Tanner Butler stuff. I believe. She was arrested that day. Did it happen and then she was arrested that day? Did it happen the same day? Is that why I'm getting so lost here? Yeah, he thinks he's hiding. He's not hiding. If I know where he is, law enforcement knows where he's at. I really just feel like now that I have spoken with Brandy and stuff, I really just feel like law enforcement has a plan. I don't know what the plan is. I mean, Brandy didn't go into any detail with me. She didn't say anything that she didn't say on Monkey Monday last week, where she said that there's something new fueling law enforcement and they're just basically on one. And the DA also got a fire under their ass over something. Something's going on. I don't know what it is. But other than this being weird, because I just wanted to show it because I thought it was weird. He also posted this. He said biggest or smallest. But here's Bigfoot sitting in a rocking chair on the front step talking to some man. And the man says, "Why have you been hiding?" And Bigfoot says, "People suck." I mean, so Someone's asking, I mean, he's pretty much saying in this post that I'm hiding because people suck. No, Brandon, you suck. You're hiding because you suck because of your bad choices. Let's just be honest. People suck to you because you can't run and hide because people keep finding you. We suck because we want the truth. We suck because we're speaking the truth. You suck because you lie. Let's just get that straight. Rizzo, good to see you. So yeah, he thinks he's hiding. This one kills me, okay? He wants to post. What does it say? Take it or leave it. You get to, and he posts this meme. You get to remove one thing off Earth. Go. And he says, KILL, child killers. Really? Kill child killers? Brandon says that. Kelly's in the house. Good to see you, hun. Like, are you serious? You get to remove one thing off Earth and go. Well, you might as well start removing Adrian, Brandon, Sarah, and Stacey, because guess what? They are murderers of a child. Just saying. Is that just not weird to anybody else that he just say that? He knows he's a suspect of Michael Vaughan's abduction and murder. For him to even say this on his Facebook, well, he knows he's friends with people like me and Lana and like Crime Lines and Lies and all these people that have worked on his case that talk about him and everything else, and we're all seeing it's an insult. I'm insulted. Stop it. Stop it. For frig's sake. So insulting. And then there's this post from Monkey's Army that I saw that is horrible. So let me get to it here because I'll make it bigger. Monkey's Army says, and this was like a month ago on Monkey's Army's post here on YouTube, red flag, stunned is the only word I can think of to explain our feelings of Brandon's choice of words here. The image was a private message Brandy sent to a TikTok creator recently in response to them asking where missing Michael Joseph Vaughan is. Is this his true colors? Is that why he won't come back on YouTube? Is he guilty? How can he prove otherwise? Who are you, Brandon Shurtliff, really? Because this is what he said to the TikToker. It's disgusting, you guys, okay? I'm going to effing KILLU, bitch, 100% on God, go F yourself, and the C word. Not gonna say that on here. C-U-N-T. Go F yourself, C-U-N-T. Are you? This is disgusting. Tina Marille, is this really the boy you raised out there calling women a C-U-N-T for real? All because someone asked him where Michael Vaughan was? He's threatening to go KILL somebody just because they asked where Michael is? Well, I'm asking where Michael is, Brandon. You want to do the same thing to me? Give it your best shot. I'm really sick of it, you guys. These suspects know where Monkey is. These suspects know exactly what happened. We always here on YouTube streets have to be so nice and so kind and watch what we say, everything else. That is also to me, getting to me, because I'm tired of being nice. Please is in the house. Generally calling someone a CUNT is directed at a woman. Yeah. It's awful, and I'm over it. So, what I have planned today is to finish analyzing Brandon's interview with JLR Investigates. I've already put his link here in chat. His link is also in the description box. He has done several shorts. He has done a few interviews. He has also talked about Michael Vaughan's case. If you want to go over there and see any of that, you can. And yeah, yesterday we left off right about the time that Brandon was talking about how him and Adrian and Sarah went to the pawn shop. Adrian bought an iPad. You know, hearing this information right before we're going to watch the live that I did with Brandon, I'm just hearing some things and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what you told me. So the way that Stacey Wondra gets up on panel and talks and you find those contradictions, I'm finding contradictions and lies just as much in Brandon as I am Stacey. No joke. I thought Stacey was a liar. Well, we know Stacey's a liar, but now I really am getting to know who Brandon is, and he really is a liar too. And when I put out the recording that I have when I was asking Brandon questions and put that together with this JLR interview and the live he did with me, that's going to be huge too, because he contradicts himself the day before the live I did with him. He told me things the day before that live that were total opposite the very next day. And when you're lying, you don't remember your lies. When you're telling the truth doesn't change. But everything that they say changes all the time. The only one out of all four suspects, really, that stories have never changed is Adrian Lucian. He says that he was set up, that he had nothing to do with this, that he was set up. And maybe he was set up. Maybe he was brought there, to help start some kind of ladies of the night gig or something. And then someone just brought it upon themselves to, saw a little boy wandering in the neighborhood and drove by and pick him up. And that's where shit got ugly. And I'm purely speculating here, but it does make sense. Especially if him and Sarah and Stacey, or if they knew each other before he even came to Idaho. There's a reason that he came there. What was that reason? We know once Adrian got there, he got together and talked with this young woman, which when we start talking about Adrian, we'll get more into this. But when he started talking to this young woman, somebody reached out to her later on, and she flat told this person that Adrian asked her to be a lady of the night for him, and she told him no. So Adrian was looking for that. So I'm wondering, with the taxi service, with the scams, with the fact that Stacey decides to talk about this app that Sarah and Adrian were working together to scam that had involved women in it. And then Daniel Guthrie at one time told me that Sarah and Adrian did know each other and met on an app. He told me that at one time, and then when I asked about it again, he didn't remember telling me that. So now I don't know if it's true, if it's not true, or what. But anyway, let's get started on analyzing this. We're going to finish the whole damn thing today, so we could be here for a couple of hours. Yesterday, we all heard that the taxi service, the Faith taxi service, was actually Brandon and Randy's taxi business until Stacey came along and takes over everything. I never heard that shit before. That's why it's so important to review this stuff. Keep reviewing, keep listening. Every time you listen, you hear something new. That was absolutely crazy to me. Kelly, I do not know if you were here when we found that yesterday, but it's 12 minutes and 30 seconds in. There's your timestamp, hun. If you want to hear it, it's just right before 12 minutes, 30 seconds. Yeah. And Sarah was with all three of those men. Yeah. You have Sarah doing it with all the guys in the house. You've got people, this was mentioned yesterday. They go out and they do these service, the taxi service, and they're supposed to be driving people from one location to another. But Brandon talks about barbecues and drinks and stuff at their house. Why do so many people that they do taxi service for or go pick up end up back at their house? Yeah, I agree. It's gross. You even have Stacey saying that Sarah had some kind of transmitted disease. All right. So let's get started. Get your pen and paper. Get your coffee. Let's get it going. Let's start it up. Again, throughout all of this, we will be talking. We're going to be speculating, theorizing. We're going to be doing all those things. This is the Shirtliff Shit Show. This is part 2. After this, we will be going over the interview that I did with Brandon, so we can kind of go back and forth to see the comparison of the two. I've already watched them all, so I've just already been finding so much stuff that Brandon has said that's just so different. And like I said, the last thing we talked about was they picked Adrian up from Applebee's. They go to a pawn shop. Adrian ends up buying an iPad. And then, we're just going to move forward from there. Everybody, I'm watching chat. I am going to be listening to the interview as well. My email was already put up. So if you see anything and I don't catch it in chat, you can email me anytime. And try to keep chat respectful. Make sure to give a thumbs up and become a PMW member, or you can lurk or just be a subscriber or just watch replays. I appreciate all the love. Let's go.
Over to a pawn shop, I think. Just kind of look around at the pawn shop a little bit. And then I think he bought like an iPad, or he was trying to get a new iPad, I think.
That's Adrian, right?
Right, yes, sir. And then I think he bought one there. We went to the pawn shop, bought an iPad, and then came back and we were just chilling.
So what car were you guys all in?
We were in that little Toyota, 2016 Toyota Corolla.
Okay, what is that? What color is it? White?
It's the blue one.
A blue. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember you were telling me that they were towing your car. You told me earlier in another conversation that your car was being towed by their truck that day.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So where's that come into play here?
And don't forget, everybody, this interview is done a week before Brandon SHURTLIFF is named a suspect, named somebody who has knowledge of what happened to Michael Vaughan a week prior.
So I asked them earlier that day if we could use their pickup to go to my house, my mom's house, and get my Mercedes Benz and tow it back over there so I could work on it if I was going to be hanging out over there doing the taxi business.
Yeah. So when did you guys go over there to get your car?
I think it was around like 6 or 7 at night.
6 or 7. Then you're saying while you're coming back, that's when you noticed everyone searching for Michael?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I remember going to the gas station. We were probably at the gas station filling up like right at 7.
Right at 7. What gas station?
There's the Chevron right there just up from their house.
Up, at the gas station, filling up about 7 o'clock. We know they're seen on CCTV camera at 7:08 leaving the neighborhood. So as he's talking here, his time, I totally agree with. Sorry if you guys can hear my husband making a bunch of noise in the background. He just brought in a bag of groceries and walked in the house. I'm like giving him the finger like, shh, be quiet, babe.
Yeah. So where you were seeing people out there looking for Michael, or you were seeing police?
I was just seeing police cars cruising around, and I was seeing a lot of like the neighbors going out in their cars cruising around, and just like the whole subdivision from the left side to the right side. They were all just out, everybody walking around and looking, and flashlights. Search and rescue was there. Police.
He talks about how everybody was in their cars driving around in both subdivisions, everybody walking around. There's going to be so many people out there walking around and everything else. How many of you guys actually believe that there's lots of cars out there driving around too? I mean, maybe around the 2 subdivisions, but there's going to be so many people, from what I understand, that were out there searching for Michael that you're not going to really be able to be like on the streets with your car looking for Michael. So I'm actually wondering if people driving around looking for Michael in those subdivisions is true or not. I don't know why I question that.
Police, everything.
But how did you know they were looking for Michael?
Because so when we were pulling into the subdivision, Sarah was driving the pickup, and she stopped and talked to the neighbor that was coming down the road the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
And she stopped right there in the middle of the road, and they both opened their doors and they started talking to each other right there.
Okay. And you told me you never seen Michael Vaughan before in your life prior.
Right. I never met him or his parents ever before. I just know that they're neighbors of where I was staying over there with the Wondras. They live like diagonal.
Yeah. What about the okay. Yeah, I got so many questions. All right. So Adrian, where's he from?
I think he's from California somewhere.
So, but how did he get up there? Like, how did he end up there in Idaho?
He just flew in from California to come see his son and his old girlfriend or whatever.
But where did Sarah meet him? Like, how does she know him?
I don't know. I think he just randomly like called their phone one day from the airport.
He seems a little bit nervous right there. JLR asking him how they met. Like I said, Dan Guthrie did tell me that Brandon told him that Sarah and Adrian knew each other before he came. But then when I asked him again, he didn't remember telling me that. And yeah, so I'm not sure. Let's listen to that again. Let's see. He just seems kind of nervous about it.
And his old girlfriend or whatever.
But where did Sarah meet him? Like, how does she know him?
I don't know. I think he just randomly like called their phone one day from the airport and said, "Can you give me a ride?"
And he's also saying that Adrian called her from an airport when Sarah and Stacey's story that he was picked up by a dumpster in Caldwell. Hey, Slim, good to see you, hun. Julia, thank you for coming in.
Ride from here to there or whatever, and that's probably how those two met.
Yeah, because, obviously, Sarah, according to this arrest affidavit, she's claiming that this Adrian guy helped bury Michael in her yard. That's what she said, according to the arrest affidavits, or the neighbors. She also said the neighbor's yard, too.
Right?
So,
Yeah.
So what, did he just agree with him there? That Sarah and Adrian buried Michael in the backyard? And he's like, right?
people are wondering, who's Adrian?
Yeah, he's just some kid that came here from California.
He didn't even know how to answer that question. That threw him off so bad, he didn't even know what the hell to say. He's like, right?
Helped bury Michael in her yard. That's what she said, according to the arrest affidavits, or the neighbors. She also said the neighbor's yard, too.
Right.
So
yeah,
people are wondering, who's Adrian?
Yeah, he's.
And did you see all of the gulps and the swallows and the everything that that just screams like, damn, I'm terrified right now. I'm nervous right now. I did not like that question right now. You could watch that again. That is crazy.
The arrest affidavit, she's claiming that this Adrian guy helped bury Michael in her yard. That's what she said, according to the arrest affidavits, or the neighbors. She also said the neighbor's yard, too.
Right.
So yeah, people are wondering, who's Adrian?
Yeah, he's just some kid that came here from California for a little bit to visit his son and his old girlfriend.
Did he get arrested at all?
No, he didn't get arrested or talked to or nothing.
So how long was he there at their house for?
He was only there for like a week up to 2 weeks tops.
After Michael went missing?
After Michael went missing, I'm pretty sure he was there for like a couple days after that as well.
Okay, so he was there about a week and a half prior to Michael being missing. Then Michael went missing, and then a couple days later, he goes back to California.
I think so, yeah.
See, JLR is giving the information and Brandon's just agreeing, when the fact of the matter is that Adrian left around August 20th to 22nd and was there at the house for a while after Michael came up missing. But he's so nervous here talking about Adrian.
You know where in California?
And then talking about the time frame. Stacey says that Adrian got there couple months or so before Michael's abduction. Then he says a month before. Then he said a few weeks before. And then Brandon said a couple weeks before. So there's this like, what was it? And Brandy, she gets up on panel in the confrontation with Stacey Wondra, and she's asking him questions because she said there's a court hearing in California that Adrian had just days prior to Michael's abduction. So when did Adrian actually come to Fruitland, Idaho? Was it days prior because he had this court date? Was it weeks prior? Then he just left and went to that court date and then came back to Idaho? Was it a month prior? Was it a few months prior? We need information. Why are they lying about when Adrian got there? Why was Adrian there?
No idea.
You're in a hot tub. I see you're in a hot tub. What's that, the North Dakota life?
Yeah, that's North Dakota life, trying to stay warm out here right now.
Yeah. Interesting. So interesting. Now, did you know that like Stacey had like crazy criminal record in the past of being in the feds and locked up and all that kind of stuff? Did you know that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he talked to me previously before that, and he said,
No, I believe Caesar was a friend of the Wondras. Caesar Garado, another RSO. He is disgusting, even posting on his Instagram the ages of boys that he likes. It's gross. One of 16, but now even more, that all four suspects are in close contact relation or were in July 2021, 16 RSOs and plus more. 6 directly to or connected to Brandon and Adrian.
That he got locked up for like a year or two because he lied on a federal application to buy a gun or something at a store.
So you've seen him with guns. Like, why would he still have guns if he already got arrested for it? Did he just not care? Or?
I think that was it or something. Because at first he said, hey, I know that you're not a felon and you can have guns. Do you want me to try to find you a gun? And I said, no, I already have a gun. I don't need to get another one, you know. But if you are selling that other little 17 or whatever, I'll buy it if I get money from you guys paying me from doing taxiing, you know. That was our first previous conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
So Stacey is talking about GUNs. He's talking about selling them. Brandon's talking about buying them. What business are they in that they need guns? Is my question. Why do they feel like they need them?
So yeah, I wonder why he was so interested in you getting a gun. You know, like why does he want others to get a gun? Is he like fascinated with guns?
Yeah, I think he comes from a background where like him and his grandpa used to hunt back in the day before he got in trouble. Like when he went out with other people that were responsible, he probably did some hunting.
So some people are saying that does Sarah have any kids that you knew of or had kids?
No, sir.
See, some people speculated that if Sarah is involved and she got arrested, but people are speculating, hey, maybe Sarah did it because she wanted a kid on her own because she couldn't have kids, or, you know, what do you think?
Hold on.
This whole question, what gets me is Stacey Wondra said he didn't want kids. You know, then there's been talk that Stacey allowed Sarah to have relations with Brandon so that they could impregnate Sarah. Well, if he doesn't want kids, why would he even allow that to happen? Honestly. Misty comes up on panel and said that, you know, that's Brandon's ex-girlfriend, comes up on panel, said that, you know, Brandon told her that Sarah wanted to have relations with him so she could have a kid. But why would Stacey even allow any of that to go on if he didn't even want kids to begin with? It doesn't make sense. And Hair Curlers and Crime brings up an amazing thing here. So she says, I'm surprised that Brandon isn't furious about what Stacey and Sarah has said about him and what he did to Michael. Exactly. Even what law enforcement told Daniel Guthrie in Livingston, Montana, when they came to give him a plea deal. They talk about the duct taping and binding Michael, the trash bag, the whole 9 yards, and suffocation. Why isn't Brandon furious with this information if he has nothing to do with any of this? He claims to have nothing to do with any of it. Why isn't he furious? Why isn't he going down and talking to law enforcement and say, no, this is what actually happened. This is what I actually saw. This is who actually took Michael. This is who hurt Michael. I didn't have anything to do with it. Like, if you want to come out and you want to give your side of the story, Brandon, like, tell the truth. What happened? What you witnessed? What's your knowledge?
On just a second here. I'm in an interview right now, so I'm gonna have to do this real quick.
Could you imagine right then what his dad's thought when he was like, I'm in an interview right now, and he's sitting there talking about his roommates and their their involvement in a child abduction?
I think that she couldn't have kids because her husband Stacey said that he got his nuts crushed in a bull riding rodeo accident or whatever, blah blah blah. He said he used to bull ride and a bull stepped on his thing and crushed it, so he couldn't have him.
So he couldn't give her a child then.
Right, and he wanted a kid and she really didn't.
Oh, she didn't want a child.
No, she didn't really.
Can you guys see Stacey Wondra up on a bull, riding a bull, and he gets his nuts smashed by a bull? Is there any truth to this whatsoever? Josh from the lab just goes absolutely off about this whole bull thing. Y'all should go over there and watch it sometime and get a great laugh, because it just imagine Stacey Wondra up on a bull.
Want to have a kid, but he was trying to push that on her.
So is it possible? Okay, so you're with Sarah and you're with Adrian out or getting your car and bringing it back. Is it possible Stacey was home left alone and did something and maybe like went out and snatched Michael? I mean, how do you do you guys know about Stacey's whereabouts at the time?
I personally don't. So I'm saying that could be a possibility.
Because there was no one else there with him, correct?
Right. Yeah. Yes, sir.
But you're saying that you were with Sarah all that day. You and Adrian and Sarah were all together throughout that whole day, starting in the morning. And you didn't she didn't go off on her own or do anything?
No, I was with Sarah that whole day and Adrian. And then Stacey was left home alone.
Stacey.
And then here he says Stacey was left home alone. But he also said he spent all day long with Sarah and with Adrian. So why is he pulling Stacey away from the three of them and saying Stacey was home all day long when he later talks about the fact that there was a taxi call that Stacey had to take and go do over in Ontario? And Stacey's seen at other places. We know Stacey was at other places and wasn't at home all day long. But why does Brandon want us to believe that Stacey was home all day long?
She was left home alone. What when you guys were out, what cars were there with Stacey?
I think he had his little Cadillac Escalade that he cruised around at that time.
What color was that?
It was a white one, an older one that he traded his pickup in for. That when that pickup started to have a couple issues, instead of getting it fixed, he just traded it in.
Yeah. See, because he's left alone and no one else is there with him.
Because I specifically asked him in the interview that I did with him, what was Stacey doing while you were out running around with Sarah and Adrian? He does not say Stacey wasn't home all day long.
I wonder if he ventured out. Yeah, okay. For instance, when you guys got back, was he in the house?
Yeah, he was in there. He was in there on the couch, I'm pretty sure.
What was he doing?
Just watching TV.
Like he never even went anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, because, he's left alone. It's
Domestic panic. I totally agree with you. I do not believe that this whole thing that Sarah wanted to have a kid and that's why she was sleeping around with everybody in the house. I just don't.
Seems like you three have it, you guys are each other's alibis, I guess, and you're saying you did whatever throughout the day. And I appreciate you talking to me. I mean, somebody that would be guilty wouldn't be telling all this in a sense, but, people just want answers.
Yeah, and I want answers too. I don't think Adrian did it, and I don't think Sarah did it. But Stacey, I know that sometimes he's lied to me and he's lied to others, and he says he'll do something and then he really don't do it. And I got after him about that, and I was trying to teach him that you're not supposed to do that in life, and then he'll get sometimes mad at me, So that's where my trail kind of ends, and that's where I'm kind of curious in my own head.
With Stacey.
with Stacey. I'd like to talk to him personally, and if he was here right now, I'd be talking with him and say, hey, I know you and me didn't. I know that you.
And that's where I am in my own head. And, you know I didn't do it. I know Sarah didn't do it. I know Adrian didn't do it, but I don't know about Stacey. And see, and then Stacey does the same thing with Brandon when he talks, when he says that, Brandon effed up and he's just trying to cover up for his mistakes. That's almost the exact thing that Stacey said once about Brandon. Well, what did Brandon do to F up? What is Brandon covering up? What mistakes? I feel like when Stacey said that Brandon effed up and he's just covering up for his mistakes was a true statement by Stacey, although there are few and far between. And in this interview with JLR, Brandon is consistently either making it look like Stacey's at home, which puts him right there in the neighborhood. Michael comes up missing. Stacey's at home all alone. Here, pointing the finger directly at Stacey. And I think he's pointing the finger at Stacey because he isn't wanting to admit his involvement and what he did. Or he knows Stacey's involvement, and then maybe later on, Brandon is the one who ends up taking things a step further. Because we all know they have some kind of involvement. We just don't know what the involvement is. Who did what? Who did the abduction? Was it one person, two person, three person? Who hurt Michael? Who buried Michael? But we do all know one of those four suspects did all of it. Or some of it, I mean.
You broke my watch, and you thought I wanted to steal your girl or this or that, but that was all accusations. It's not.
And why would Brandon want to steal Sarah if he had permission from Stacey to do what he was doing? And then he brings up a watch, and later on he brings up like this coat with Adrian. Who cares about the damn watch and a coat? Why is he bringing up things that are completely irrelevant to the fact that there is a child who's been abducted and you have now been accused? And he's sitting here in this interview talking about the people that he lived with, that their home just got dug up. Who cares about a watch and a coat?
Not true. I was just there to help you guys work, make a business, and pay the bills. That was my whole objective.
So he was accusing you of trying to get with Sarah?
Yes, sir. Like every day.
Every day. But he didn't kick you out of the house?
Right, because she liked me a little bit because I was kind of the cool guy on the block, hanging out, trying to save the day. And he got a little bit jealous of it.
Hanging out, trying to save the day, the cool kid on the block. How he talks about himself.
And I wanted to kind of shut that down and say, hey, we're all friends. You keep your wife. You guys get along, and you guys stop doing that, kind of like a counselor or a mediator.
Was he ever did you ever see him do any violence?
No. He pretended to try to be a tough guy, try to do that kind of stuff, but he never did it when I was around.
He's a pretty big dude.
He's a heavy feller. He's like 450, 500 pounds.
So, I mean, if you see him walk, does he get tired when he walks a short distance?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's interesting. So because he's left alone, you guys are out. Michael Vaughan goes missing around, we'll say 7 p.m. And, what happened? Where was Starkey? Where was Carson Starkey?
I think he was driving for another company at that time because he was mad at Sarah and Stacey because they were kind of trying to give him a little bit of bluff or a little bit of grief. And he was like, you know what? I can go work somewhere else or be part of somebody else. I don't have to sit here and take your guys' nonsense.
So, interesting. What about the Cesar Garudo? What's the deal with him? Is he involved? Could he be involved? Was he around their house?
I know that he went to their house like one time. Other than that, me and Stacey went to his house one time, and he had a couple other friends over there, and they were just kind of hanging out and chilling with a couple other people.
But say
And Brandon Shurtliff told me that it was really weird over there at Cesar Gerardo's house. He didn't go into much detail, but he was very uncomfortable talking about it, and he just was like, going to Caesar's house was very weird.
Cesar was not around the house the time Michael went missing.
As best as I know, yeah, that's true.
Interesting. So you never seen Michael. Have you ever hear Sarah or Stacey talk about the bonds or mention the bonds or say anything?
Never once. Not even. The only time I heard them ever mention the Vaughns is when they stopped the car that day and they said, "Hey, there's somebody that's missing in the neighborhood. His name's Michael Vaughan. Do you guys know him or know where he went?" That was the first time that came up to my attention. And then, as far as I know, they both said, no, we don't know where he's at. Let's go help look for him from that point.
Interesting.
And then he's saying right there, he says something about they, and then going to look for him. So they, meaning Sarah and Stacey, talking to people in the neighborhood, saying there's a little boy named Michael Vaughan missing from the neighborhood. But right here towards the end, see, because we have Stacey that says he never went out looking for Michael. You have Brandon saying that him and Sarah went out looking for Michael. But right here, he's saying they, meaning Sarah and Stacey, mention going out and looking for Michael. Let's rewind a little bit.
Stacey talk about the bonds or mention the bonds or say anything?
Never once. Not even. The only time I heard them ever mention the Vaughns is when they stopped the car that day and they said, "Hey, there's somebody that's missing in the neighborhood. His name's Michael Vaughan. Do you guys know him or know where he went?" That was the first time that came up to my attention.
So he's saying they pulled over, they mentioned to somebody, there is a kid missing, his name is Michael Vaughan, here in the neighborhood, and then this is where he continues.
And then, as far as I know, they both said, no, we don't know where he's at. Let's go help look for him.
Okay, I'm getting it wrong. People in the neighborhood were asking Sarah and Stacey, do you guys know where this little boy Michael Vaughan is? They said, no, we don't know where he's at. Let's go help look for him. But that doesn't make sense because Brandon says that him and Sarah went to go look for Michael. Stacey admits to never going out and really looking for Michael.
From that point.
Interesting. Yeah. Man, I'm so scatterbrained here because it's just a mystery. It's a mystery.
It is. That's all it is right now at this point. Yeah.
But you're assuring, like, if the Vaughns were watching, right?
I agree, Lynn. I don't believe that any of them went to go look for Monkey. They didn't need to go look for Monkey. They had Monkey. They knew exactly where he was.
Now, what would you say to Michael Vaughan's family?
Yeah, Brandon, what would you have to say to Michael Vaughan's family?
I would say, don't lose hope. Keep your head up, keep your chin up, and know that he might still be out there somewhere because they never brought him into their house when I was there, not once. No.
He's gulping. He looks nervous. You know, to sit there and say, like, keep the hope. He was never in the house that I know of. Maybe Michael's still out there. It's sickening. He knows exactly what happened to Michael.
No little kids ever even came into that house, and I was there like a good majority of the time running a taxi business. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the people that I knew that was there, they seemed like they were all right, decent people that weren't trying to do that. They were just trying to have normal, everyday lives, you know?
They acted like
normal.
They acted like normal people, not trying to do that. Do what? Not trying to do that. What's that? And why can't he say what that is? Deflecting away from it.
People that I knew that was there, they seemed like they were all right, decent people that weren't.
They seemed like they were all right, decent people. These are people coming in and out of the house at Sarah and Stacey Wondra's.
Trying to do that. They were just trying to have
That weren't trying to do that. They were just trying to
normal everyday lives.
have normal everyday lives.
You know?
He's just completely deflecting away from that there. He doesn't even want to talk about it. He's calling it that. He's not saying what that is.
So, what's your family think about what's going on? Did you tell them?
Yeah, I told them. The police and the detectives and everything, they've been at my mom's house since I've been gone, doing like siding in Montana and stuff, trying to pay bills, and they're beside themselves and just scared and freaking out. Don't know what's happening, what's going on.
So, do you feel like the detectives think you're involved, or they just want to ask you more about the Wanders? What is the detectives' reasons of coming to you?
I think they want to find out more about like the Wanderers and their lifestyle, of how they are and what they do. And I'm probably the best guy to ask because I was there around them the most at that time.
Did you feel detectives think you did something, or was it, were they hard on you and questioning? Were they making you feel like you're guilty of something?
So here he's basically saying, we know this interview is done a week prior to him being considered a suspect. And now he's sitting here talking about how law enforcement has talked to him about Sarah and Stacey, just wanting to get to know the Wanderers, who they are, what they do. And he's the best guy to ask because he lived with them, pretty much. And now, how did law enforcement treat you?
Well, they were pretty stern. They wanted to get to the bottom of it, and they kind of interrogated me, and they were pretty rough and aggressive with it. And I said, "Listen, guys, I didn't do it at all. And if they're saying that this happened and that they did it, they know more about it than I did, because when I was around them, they didn't act that way." So they're like, "Okay." And then from there, it's just been kind of like,
he rambles so much, it doesn't even make sense. To even make sense of what he just said doesn't make sense. Like, how, damn. It's just. Okay, let's see.
They did me, and they were pretty rough, and
They interrogated me, and they were pretty rough.
Aggressive with it. And I said, "Listen, guys, I didn't do it at all."
They were rough and aggressive with it. And I said, "Listen, guys, I didn't do it."
And if they're saying that
at all, and if they're saying that, "Listen, guys, I didn't do it at all." And if they're saying that, so he's saying he didn't do it. He didn't do what? Right now, Michael's just missing. I don't even know. Well, Michael's missing and been abducted. I didn't do it at all. And if they're saying that
this happened and that they did it, they know.
If they're saying that this happened and that they did it,
know more about it than I did.
They know more about it than I did. If they're saying that they did it, or if they're saying that this happened and that they did it, they know more about it than I did.
Because when I was around them, they didn't act that way.
Because when I was around them, they didn't act that way. There again, deflecting himself away from the situation. But the thing is, Brandon, you messed up right here. Because you say that you were with Sarah and Adrian all day long. And if Sarah and Stacey are saying that they're having some kind of involvement, you were there. You were with Sarah all day long. That's your words. You said you were with Sarah all day long. So if she is saying that they had some kind of involvement and that she did something, you had to have witnessed, saw something, knew something, helped, but you know something. Yes. So Callie Dine says, Miss Tina, so you're local. Do you know if cars were allowed in and out of the neighborhood at the time, or where people were parking on the side of the street to look for Michael? Great question. Yeah, I would love to know that too, because I just got done saying earlier, Brandon saying that there's people in the neighborhood driving around looking for Michael, and I would think they would be, blocking stuff up, not letting cars in and out of the neighborhood or driving around the neighborhood or anything. Sarah Suspicious says, you would think he would say, I didn't do anything. No, I didn't do it. Exactly. But instead, he brings in other people and what they say about him having involvement.
So they're like, okay.
And when I was with them, they didn't act that way. So what? They were great when they hung out with you because you, Brandon, can keep these people from doing bad things because you're the cool guy on the block? Come on.
Okay. And then from there, it's just been kind of like they hit me hard and I told them everything I know. And then it's been a stale fish, a standstill. And we're just trying to see like who all was even at that point in time in history.
Jesus. And again, he doesn't make sense.
Everything I know. And then
they hit me hard and I told them everything I know. And
it's been a stale
then it's been a stealth.
fish, a standstill.
A stealth fish and standstill. So he tells them everything that he knows, and then it's a stealth fish and a standstill.
And we're just trying to see like who all.
And we're just trying to see like
all was even at that point in time.
Who all was even at that point? Does he mean like who all was even at that house? I mean, at that point, he does not make sense.
Time in history.
Who was all... Okay. Like, who all was even at that point in time in history? He calls it history. Yeah, he's just playing games. I agree, Lynn.
So you're not nervous at all? Are you nervous about being arrested at all or anything?
Yeah, that definitely crosses my mind every day, and I know that if I go back.
And every day it crosses his mind whether or not he's going to be arrested. So he must know something. Why worry about it every single day? If you know you have no involvement, you wouldn't be thinking about it every single day, worried about whether or not you're going to get arrested, in my opinion.
Back to Idaho, I'll be arrested immediately. And, they're going to talk.
And if I go back to Idaho, I'll be arrested immediately. Well, yeah, because he had a warrant for his arrest for some Mary Jane.
Talk about me about my marijuana charges. Probably do 20, 30 days in jail myself if I go back. And then from there.
And he's so chicken about doing 20, 30 days in jail. Sarah says they literally tell on themselves, whether involved PI or having knowledge. I agree, Sarah. PC Primetime says, I think whoever helps Brandon from now on is an accessory. Now you all know he's the guy. Kelly says, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not worried about being arrested, right? If you don't have anything to do with it, you're not worried about being arrested. But he's worried also about spending 20, 30 days in jail.
So you have pending charges in Idaho.
He really is a coward. He really is. That's a cowardly thing, to be afraid to spend 20 or 30 days in jail, which he's still avoiding the same charges and the same warrant again, even after he had it dropped in Canyon County, where he now has to spend the 30 days no matter what.
Yeah, I have pending charges in Idaho just from probation and like possession of marijuana, and that's what I was in trouble with those guys for before.
I appreciate
But,
your honesty with that. Appreciate your
yeah.
honesty. So you're not going to go back in there and try to settle it, or do you think they're going to extradite you, try to scoop you up there where you're at?
I think for now it's just a basis of I need to get back to work and get some money because I still owe them money on those charges.
Yeah.
So I need.
He totally deflects away from the real question. Like, do you think they're going to be like some indictments that they're just going to come over and get you or whatever from where you're at your dad's house? You know, and then he just talks about money needing to pay off, you know, his fines and everything else. When I believe JLR was basically asking him if he was afraid whether or not they're going to come look for him having to do with the Michael Vaughan charges or Michael Vaughan. Let's listen to that one more time.
For now, it's just a basis of I need to get back to work.
Appreciate your honesty. So you're not going to go back in there and try to settle it, or do you think they're going to extradite you, try to scoop?
Oh, he is talking about the actual warrant. So you're not going to go back there and try settling it.
Scoop you up there where you're at?
I think for now it's just a basis of I need to get back to work and get some money because I still owe them money on those charges.
Yeah.
So I kind of just came here trying to get to work because the other people I was working for, it was hard to get paid and pay all my bills on time. So I'm just trying to find a solution to make it peaceful for everyone and kind of find out what's going on here and get to the bottom of it. That's what's on my mind right now.
Did detectives ask you about any other names besides the Wondras? They say any names?
The biggest names that are coming up right now on this is Stacey, Sarah, Adrian, that Garudo. Yeah, Cesar Garudo and me, and I think that's it from that very day.
No mention of Starkeys.
The Starkeys, I know that they had previous charges from stuff, whatever they did in their life before. I don't even know.
So he knows he's the focus here already. He is one of the people that law enforcement is focusing on.
But yeah, they said that they went to their house and asked them. They asked Mr. Carson Starkey and his mother that was hanging out there, and they questioned Dorothy, his ex-wife, that she can't really hear that good. She has to write everything down on paper and what she heard or seen or knows or anything like that. So I know that they've been there. I know.
Wait, back up. What? Who's writing stuff on paper?
That, so I know that they've been there. I know they dug up the yard and whatever they did in their life before. I don't even know. But yeah, they said that they went to their house and asked them. They asked Mr. Carson Starkey and his mother that was hanging out there, and they questioned Dorothy, his ex-wife, that she can't really hear that good. She has to write everything down on paper and what.
Oh, okay, yeah. Dorothy is deaf, and she had to write everything down on paper to communicate with law enforcement. Okay, I got confused.
She heard or seen or knows or anything like that. So I know that they've been there. I know they dug up the yard, and it's a big case, big thing here.
So you've been so now you've been Googling around following this case?
Well, yeah, law enforcement, Sarah, went and talked to Starkey because Sarah threw them under the bus and said that Stacey buried Michael in their backyard, and they even went and checked out the Starkey's backyard. And Brandon and Starkey did talk and communicate with each other.
Yeah, and yes, sir. And then I seen your YouTube that you put out this morning, you know what I mean? And my picture right next to those guys, and that's when it really started to hit home. And I was like, I got to find everything I can do to help. I don't even care about me and my freedom anymore. I need to figure out what's going on here and stop the lying and bring the truth to everything that I can and help.
Yeah.
Then why aren't you helping? Bring truth to everything that you can, Brandon. That's what you say that you're going to do. You say that you want to help, so do that. In your own words, you say you want to bring the truth to everything that you can.
Yeah. Do you think, based off what you've been seeing, do you think any of the Vaughns are involved?
At first, my very first thought on all that, I thought, well, maybe just the mom and the dad got in a fight about custody, you know, because I got in a fight with my ex before about custody, and I know how that can go. So I thought it was just kind of like one of those things from the beginning, just who gets who, and maybe the dad came and got the.
And here he is going to theorize about whether or not the parents had anything to do with Michael Vaughan's abduction, but he has said that he didn't know the Vaughns, and the Vaughns didn't know them. The Vaughns didn't know Stacey or Sarah or anybody, didn't know anybody.
Kid and took him to his house, and the mom got all mad and called the cops, and that's what I thought it was from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then my second thought from there is that he might have went missing. He might have went.
And there were no custody issues going on between Brandy and Tyler anyway, so his theory sucks. Just gonna say. And then his second theory is
Out from his neighborhood because he was trying to go play with other kids like that, his age, and he might have got out in that field and went too far down. There's that Snake River right there by the Ontario-Idaho border right there. So I said, I hope he didn't fall in there and didn't know how to swim, or if he swam to the other side and got lost.
and he didn't know how to swim, or if he swam to the other side. A 5-year-old, Michael Vaughan, 5 years old, swam to the other side of the Snake River. This is one of his theories. And just for anybody that doesn't know the area, let me explain something to you. The Snake River isn't just right there. You have where the Vaughns live, then you have a giant field, okay? Then you have to go down a huge slope, then another giant, huge field, deep in there, okay, to even get to the Snake River. And it was something they did check out. They did search for Michael down there. You know, of course, they're going to, they're going to search everywhere. But Michael's scent with the scent dogs ended on Arizona and 8th, somewhere in there. And there was no evidence to prove that Michael had walked or went down towards the river. I just can't understand his whole statement here that Michael could have fallen into the river and swam to the other side. It's an ignorant statement.
Lost, or who found him, or what, because there's a million bazillion possibilities.
Like swam to the other side, got lost, and somebody found him or something. Well, if somebody would have found him, they would have turned him in. Oh my gosh, I found Michael Vaughan. And then he says, there's a million bazillion possibilities. He wants everybody to think. He wants to put off this narrative that there's a million bazillion possibilities about what could happen to Michael Vaughan, because he wants to disassociate himself from the fact that he has any involvement in Michael Vaughan's abduction. So he wants everybody to believe there's a million bazillion possibilities here that could have happened. No, there's one possibility. Michael was abducted. Plain and simple. And Brandon, you're a suspect. And Michael was murdered. And Brandon, you're a suspect. Michael was buried in the Wandra's backyard and then later moved to an unknown location. And Brandon, you're a suspect. The million billion possibilities only exist in what did you guys do with him? Where is he at? Because there's a million bazillion possibilities of where Michael is right now. We have no clue. And of course, I'm just being sarcastic using Brandon's words, but it's just absolutely ridiculous the way he deflects.
That could happen right here.
Yeah. Inside the Wander house, what does it look like inside there?
It's just a regular, like, double wide kind of a.
And pay attention here. JLR asks him, we've talked about this before. JLR asks him about what the house looks like inside, the Wondras house. Okay? When you were describing your house, how would you describe your house? I live in a duplex. I have a kitchen, a living room, 2 bedrooms, and a bath. Pretty much sums it up. Fenced backyard, front yard, pretty much sums it up. You tell me why, when Brandon describes the Wanderer's house, that he describes it for just a few seconds and then mentions the crawl space. And we know that Chris McDonough mentions the crawl space when he's talking to Stacey. Chris McDonough doesn't ask questions unless he's trying to find something out, in my opinion. He's too smart for that. Chris McDonough's been doing this for 42 years or more now. And he asked Stacey Wondra about that crawl space. And you have Brandon talking about the crawl space as he is giving a description of the Wanderer's house. I don't describe my duplex and go, oh, and there's a crawl space in my bedroom closet. No, you don't do that. Why is it even mentioned? And Chris McDonough also talks with Stacey and asks Stacey, you know, you told us that Brandon duct tape and bound Michael up in the spare bedroom, but why did they bring him back here the next morning? Why did they bring him back here the next morning? Meaning Michael got brought back to the Fruitland house the next morning. It's always creeped me out that Brandon talks about this crawl space. I've always wondered if when they brought Michael back to the house, is this where they put Michael, where they kept him until they finally buried him in the yard? And protect your mental health. I'm sorry, trigger warning. It's my opinion. It's my theory. It's just things that I think about because I can't understand why he just wants to mention this crawl space. It's weird.
Trailer house. Just, well, it's not a double wide, but it's a manufactured stick built home. Just a regular 1, 2, 3 bedroom, 2 baths, and a garage house.
Do they have a basement?
And they have a crawl space under there in their master bedroom. You walk in their master bedroom, take a right, and there's like this little crawl space right there.
Even gives directions to the crawl space. Hey, babe. Yeah. Would you come close the blinds for me, please? Thank you so much. He even gives directions to the crawl space. Why do we need directions to the crawl space? Why is he asphyxiated on this crawl space? My husband's laughing at me. He knows. He's heard me talk so many times about this damn crawl space and why Brandon chooses to mention it while describing the Wanderer's house. And I just realized he's giving directions. He's giving directions to the crawl space. And they're not even, correct directions according to Stacey Wondra.
And I know that was open one day, and I went in there and.
Yes, and then Slim Hauser mentions here that there were bags of charcoal stored in the closet of the Wanderer's house. Well, when we were going through Stacey Wondra's YouTube shit show, and went through all of his interviews and everything else, and then, Chris McDonough opens up the closet door and there's all this charcoal, where all of us and chat, we're all like, what would you do with a bunch of charcoal? And we all, I'm looking up information and find out that charcoal can be used to get rid of a smell, like absorb odor. And that's why Slim is mentioning it here, because I'm sitting here talking about whether or not they brought Michael Vaughan back to their house, put him down into that crawl space. Is that why they have like all this charcoal to absorb some kind of smell or something?
Looked, and there was like some kind of one of their cats that got down in there and pissed everywhere.
Oh, really? Why were you looking down there?
Because it was open.
Oh, you were just seeing what it was.
Yeah.
What about an
Well,
attic?
no, the door was open, like they wanted their cats to go down in there or something. Or like that was another. I don't know. I went in their bedroom and looked to the.
Do you see how he got nervous right then about talking about this crawl space and the crawl space being open? He realizes he's sitting here talking about the crawl space, giving direction to the crawl space. And then when he is asked, why did you look at the crawl space? He starts acting all funky. Let's rewind just a little bit.
Bedroom, take a right, and there's like this little crawl space right there. And I know that was open one day, and I went in there and looked, and there was like some kind of one of their cats that got down in there and pissed everywhere.
Oh, really? Why were you looking down there?
Because it was open.
Oh, you were just seeing what it was.
Yeah.
What about an
Well,
attic?
no, the door was open, like they wanted their cats to go down in there or something. Or like that was another. I don't know. I went in their bedroom and looked to the right one day, and then that thing was open. Their basement crawl space door.
Where's it at in their bedroom? Under their bed? Is it noticeable? Is it hidden?
It's kind of, you go in their bedroom and then you go straight into their master bedroom. There's a shower on the left, and then right when you turn to the right, there's just like this little hatch door that opens.
But if someone just you could see the hatch from the wall, or you could tell something's there. I mean, is it hidden?
It's cut into the carpet, so it's like just a big piece of carpet with like a little square kind of cut out on two sides, and then it comes open.
Do they have a attic?
No, sir. I don't think they do.
Do you guys see how long he spent talking about the crawl space? When just being asked, what does the inside of the Wandra's house look like? And of course, JLR picks up on it and has him talking about it a little bit more. But why is he even mentioning the crawl space? It's just weird to me.
Is their house what at the time you were there, was it all dirty, messy, clean?
For the most part, it's pretty messy.
I think I think I saw a photo of you sleeping on the couch.
Yeah, that's pretty much the main spot where I hung out, is just answered phones off the couch and went and drove taxis and went back to the couch, played PS4 and drank some beers and went to bed.
Who else was in that house that you've seen when you were there? Like anyone else that we haven't named that was inside that house ever?
I think there was like three or four people at least when I was there that came there. And this one guy, he got in trouble for like a BB gun and some knives or something like that. He went outside the house because him and another person other than Tanner got in a fight with Sarah about staying in the house and God and religion and all that. And he went cruising around the neighborhood and he had like some kind of a knife.
Domestic pinup, that's another good question. And why is he in their bedroom? Exactly. The smell of ammonia due to the cats, or ammonia to cover up the smell with the charcoal. Yes, hair curlers and crime. I've thought the same thing, because from what I understand, that door was kept open or the crawl space, thing was open all the time so that the cats could crawl down in there and piss and shit in there, because there was like no cat litter box or something. And yeah, we all know the smell of cat litter. But then also, like, wouldn't that eventually start to smell so bad? Like, why would you want to have the smell of that, like, lingering through the house, too? I don't know. And then Shannon is saying and bringing up a good point, but I thought Sarah didn't allow drinking, because we've heard Stacey talk about that, Brandon talk about Sarah not liking people to drink there at the house and stuff. So why is he sitting there saying, like, he played the PS4, he would do all of his business, taxi stuff from the couch, lay on the couch, sleep on the couch, and drink and go to bed. But he says that he slept on the couch and that's where he would normally sleep. So when he says and go to bed, does he mean the couch? Because it was a 3-bedroom. If they lived in one where, and Adrian had a bedroom, didn't Brandon have a bedroom or no? I don't understand any of that and never have. Yeah, he did. He did say earlier in this interview that Sarah kicked out Tanner Butler or got mad at Tanner Butler for drinking at the house.
Knife still, and he was threatening that if he doesn't get to come back in the house, then he's gonna like slice some people up or do this and that.
What's his name?
I'm not quite sure on that. It was just some guy that was kind of walking the streets of Ontario.
And they brought him to the house.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he was like a homeless guy in Ontario that they met one day, and they just brought him back to his house.
Interesting. It does seem like it goes into a pattern of them just bringing people off the streets, or, you know, people just, they feel like they want to help and bringing strangers into their home.
Yeah. So if something did happen, it happened like that. You know what I mean? Just people that you don't even know who the hell they are or what they're doing or what their motives are, and they just bring them in like their family. You know what I mean?
What were they all like? Would you all eat dinner together? Who cooked? Like, did everybody fend for themselves?
No, Sarah. We'd go out shopping, Sarah and I, and then we'd come home and she'd cook a nice meal for Stacey and I and her and whoever was over there for a guest. You know, that was the usual behavior.
Did Sarah use profanity?
So what now? Like, Sarah's the hostess with the mostest? We know she's Queen Bee. We know that she runs the show in the house, controls everything that the men are doing and everything else. I believe that drugs was also a part of that control, but she is the one that, you know, and he's sitting here saying things nicely about Sarah, like cook Stacey and I a nice dinner. I don't know that I see Sarah being like the hostess with the mostest. Just saying. What's dinner? Throwing shit in the oven and pulling it out to eat?
She tried not to, but when she got really super mad, yes, sir, she was good at it.
What would she get mad about?
She'd just get mad about her house not being perfectly clean or things not being the way that she wanted them to be, and just a lot of OCD. She had a lot of OCD and things being just how she left them.
Would she get mad at others or mad at herself?
No, mad at others.
Because like Stacey would leave something out and she would get mad.
Yeah.
So right. So have you seen them arguing with each other?
Yeah, almost every day. She'd go around and he'd be making messes and she'd be cleaning it up and getting after him, trying to whap him with a pot and a pan, you know, just like, you son of a bitch, clean your shit up or get gone.
So you've seen her hit him with pots and pans?
Well, she didn't actually hit him, but if
Right.
I would have been her, hit him, because sometimes he makes messes and he just don't care, and he's kind of like a little pig in a pig pen, just kind of really sloppy.
Did you ever see her act?
And this totally rings true to me because Hot Mess even said that he was disgusting when he lived at her house. You know, I could see Sarah getting quite frustrated, but I mean, Brandon's already admitted that the house is messy anyway. So, you know, she's a little bit OCD. She doesn't like people moving things around where she has them and stuff. Stacey's making a mess. You know, who is really cleaning up and picking up in the house? You would think if she was a good queen bee, you know, telling the guys what to do, she'd be having them pick up after themselves or help her pick up the house, especially when they were all working the taxi service and they were all home lounging around all the time when they weren't doing taxi services.
Actually hit him or him hit her?
No, they never did that when I was there. They were just like, they'd just talk back and forth, kind of getting like, oh, I love you, little Boo Bear. I love you, little Boo Bear. And they'd be back and forth. And they were just like jokesters, kidsters.
Did she actually try to hit on you, or is that true or no?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she liked me. She was trying to get at me pretty good there for a long time. And I said, hey, listen, you're married. You know what I mean? We can't even be on the same couch chilling together doing this and that. And I'm not going to give you and Stacey a kid. And I'm not going to do that. I'll help you guys do taxi. And other than that, I'm going home. And that's what made them had.
She actually said she wanted you to give them a kid.
Well, she said that before, and like when they were hanging out in Vegas, living in Vegas, that she said that she tried to do that with somebody else before, and they wanted to know if I'd be able to do that for them.
You know, when it comes to Brandon and Sarah, I personally believe they had a closer relationship than what Brandon leads on. He says that he spent a lot of his time with Sarah. I've even heard people talk about whether or not Brandon and Sarah were actually in love with each other. I mean, they neither one of them talk bad about each other at all. At all. And then she ends up going to jail and spending time in prison for what she did to Tanner Butler. And then there was Stacey, of course, that would have gotten in the way of all of that. Yes, Lynn, you liked her too, Brandon. Yeah, all those dudes waited on Sarah and did what she said. And I totally agree with you, Kelly Dime, the OCD. Really, Sarah being OCD, the house was a mess. People that are OCD, they don't have messes all over the house. I don't care if you're living with men or not. You'd spend the majority of the time trying to clean up the house. And if you look at any of her TikTok videos, that house is dirty. There are boxes, stacked up everywhere. There's shit laying everywhere all the time.
And I said, yeah, probably not.
Interesting. What were they doing in Vegas?
I think they just went over there and they had some friends or doing taxis over there.
I think Stacey might have a sister or a relative that lives in Vegas. You know anything about that?
No, sir, not to my knowledge.
I know that. No, go ahead.
I know that they went over there and they did like a long distance taxis. That's like how they made their best money, because instead of like.
And then you got Ladies of the Night in Vegas. And here he's saying they're making taxi trips to Vegas. I find that a little suspicious. Just saying. I know no knowledge of anything that they have done involving Ladies of the Night in Vegas or whatnot, but I'm just pointing out, driving from Fruitland, Idaho to Vegas, taxi runs to Vegas, taxi runs with puppies to Southern Oregon, to Texas, all of these strange taxi rides places. I can't make sense of it.
Hundreds of dollars, it goes to thousands of dollars. So that's how they make their better money traveling across country.
Yeah, because right after, okay.
And they're constantly talking about being broke and needing money, yet they travel all of these long distances too. How does that make sense? And if you're traveling long distances for taxi runs, taxi services, selling puppies, you're making money as you do it. So why are you always talking about being broke? Things in their house were being repoed. You guys remember that? TV being repoed, and I believe there was something else in the house that was repoed. I can't remember what it was. Was it furniture maybe? But yeah, they weren't even able to like finish their Rent-A-Center or whatever company they were using at the time to finish paying off stuff because they were broke. But they're also doing the rugs, so they're probably spending money on that too.
Okay. For one other question about you. So you done no sexual stuff with Sarah ever?
Well, at one time or another, we were just kind of like hanging out, laying on a mattress. She was trying to make out with me, this or that, and kind of like fill me up a little bit. And I said, whoa, 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 slow down. You're already married, you know?
Whoa, 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 slow down. You're already married, but he's laying on the bed with Sarah. You don't want Sarah to touch you or be with you, or you're not planning on doing anything with her, but you're on the bed with her to begin with. Don't believe you, Brandon.
So from there, that was about the part.
So she's doing this while she's.
And exactly, Sarah. Vegas has tons of real taxi services and Uber drivers. No one would go with some weirdo taxi service. Great point. No one in Vegas would call a privately owned taxi service. Now, is he talking though about somebody in Fruitland doing a taxi ride to, because he said doing a taxi ride to Vegas. So somebody from Fruitland needing a taxi ride to Vegas? I don't know. You can't ever believe anything they say anyway.
Playing the God card, religious card.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, the truck was repossessed too. That is correct. Thank you, Kelly.
And
That's
then-
why I don't like religion. It puts a bad taste in my mouth and others. It's like, you can't do stuff like that.
I agree, Halo Art. I think he's embarrassed of the fact that he did mess around with Sarah and everything. I don't think he wants everybody to know. You know, I do think he's embarrassed.
If you're going to pretend like you're holier than thou, you know?
Yeah. Now, do you know anything about their trip to Texas? In like around, I guess, a couple months after Michael Vaughan went missing, they went to Texas.
No, sir. I know nothing about that recent. Now, I do recall them saying something about that previously where Sarah lived in Texas with another man.
Okay.
Now, I don't know nothing.
He lives with them. He does taxi service with them. He didn't notice that Sarah and Stacey left for a week to go to Texas. He doesn't remember that. He doesn't remember at the time that they left to Texas, his grandfather passed away, and he's up at his grandma's cemetery digging a hole with excavation machines that he picked up from his sister there in Idaho to go dig his grandfather's grave. That is so suspicious that law enforcement recently went and looked at the cemetery that his grandmother owned, looked for Michael there, searched the cemetery. But he can't remember right now in this interview that they went to Texas for a week. Wouldn't that have been the perfect time for Brandon to have moved Michael? That would have been one of the perfect times. There were several different times, like especially you have Stacey and Sarah in jail in April of 2021. Sarah goes, and then in March, Stacey goes. Or May, I mean. I always say March. I don't know why. April of 2021 is when Sarah goes. May of 2021 is when Stacey goes to jail. So they're both in jail at that time in 2021. That was another time where Brandon could have moved. Now, if law enforcement is offering Brandon a plea deal, do they believe that he's the only suspect that knows where Michael is? Or did him and Sarah do it together when Stacey was gone because they didn't feel like they could trust Stacey, that because they thought that he would roll on them, and then, you know, he eventually does anyway, and they both realize, wow, we made the right decision doing that? I don't know. You have to remember that Adrian is gone. Adrian has left town. I don't ever believe that he came back. Like, I really do not believe Adrian came back to Idaho after he left. It only leaves Sarah, Stacey, and Brandon to have moved Monkey. And now that Stacey gave the tip to law enforcement, went there and didn't find Michael, I don't believe that Stacey knew Michael had been moved. So then there only leaves Brandon and Sarah. In what moments could Brandon have done it? And in all actuality, the smart move on Brandon's part, if it did happen this way, if Brandon did move Monkey, it was in his best interest, because now he is the only one that knows, unless he had other people that are involved help him. We don't know. We're not privy to any information. We don't know because Brandon won't tell the truth. But if Brandon did move Monkey on his own, he's the only one that knows where Monkey is. And he did that because he didn't trust Sarah. He didn't trust Adrian. He didn't trust Stacey. Why? Possibly because he is the one who harmed Michael. And he knows that he's the one that's going to go down for that if Monkey's ever found. So I'm going to move him. Again, all speculation, all theorizing right now, because that's what we're doing. But this is what's crossing my mind as I'm listening to him talk about Sarah and Stacey being down in Texas. Him not knowing that they were down here. It gives him perfect opportunity to move Monkey because nobody's at home.
About that, but I know it was kind of like not a good deal.
So it's my belief that Sarah was once married prior to Stacey. I
Yes,
believe it was to a last name of a guy named Chambers.
And then you have Sarah's ex-husband. She pops up on the Chambers guy, Sarah's ex-husband, shows up on panel on Josh from the lab, gets up there, talks to Josh, and in his words says, one of the reasons why he left Sarah, or the reason why he left Sarah, is because Sarah was crazy. Not only did he say Sarah would hit him and do stuff like that, you know, we do know that he was also in trouble for doing the same thing to Sarah, but then said that Sarah had an infatuation of wanting to kidnap people. Josh asked him if it was children or people in general, and he said it was just wanting to kidnap people and then, you know, just see what happens, wanting to like tie them up or something. And then what after that? Then what was Sarah's plan going to be? The fact that she mentioned kidnapping people so many times got so weird that he leaves Sarah. So Sarah had this infatuation about kidnapping for a long time before even getting together with Stacey, before Michael's abduction. And I find that crazy as hell, because I'd just like to know, after her fantasy of kidnapping somebody, tying them up in a chair, then what? What else was her fascination? Did she want to hurt these people? What, she was just going to untie them and like let them go and let them run out of the house even though they saw her face or whatever? Like, what was the rest of that plan?
Yep, that might be him.
Ricky Chambers, I believe.
Yep, I think that sounds right.
So he does have ties to Texas and Arkansas and Oregon. So maybe that's why she was there. I don't
Maybe.
know. Did she ever talk about her ex-husband?
She talked about him a couple times about like how she wanted to get out of there, and then he got mad one time and kind of locked her in a room, and they were fighting way back in the day before I knew her. That's all I heard about it.
When and where did Stacey get married to, or Stacey and Sarah get married? Where? When and where?
I think they got married somewhere in Montana, and just like not too much. They were only married for a year or two before I met Stacey. And then after that, he was like, hey, you want to come to my house and hang out and bring the barbecuer in and meet my wife and we'll have a good time. Like I think his grandpa taught him and instilled like some family values into him. So Stacey's a good guy when he don't lie, but he's got some kind of fetal alcohol syndrome, which prevents him from being normal.
Yeah.
I think it's the thing.
So what month and year did you meet Stacey?
And here's this fetal alcohol syndrome excuse. Stacey uses it all the time. Even if you have fetal alcohol syndrome, you still know right from wrong. And I don't know what the hell Brandon's talking about, that Stacey got values, family values from his grandfather. What family values? What person would be involved in an abduction of a 5-year-old young boy, Michael Joseph Vaughan? if they had any kind of family values at all. From what I understand, his home was completely broken. His mom kicked him out and wanted him, his adopted mom, because his real mom gave him up for adoption. Then he was, or gave him up. Then he's adopted by this woman. And then I don't know what's going on in that house, but man, there was some issues with his sisters. And his sisters have claimed a lot of crazy, weird things, especially one of them. And she will never forgive Stacey for any of that. And I'm not going to go into specifics or details or whatever. That's not something I'm going to talk about here. But, you know, he's sent away and then he's put in these group homes or whatever. So, like, what family values are you talking about? He destroyed his own home, his own values. His mom is so upset with him now for not telling the truth and doing everything he can for Michael Vaughan and the Vaughan family to bring justice. She's so upset about it. And his adoptive dad, or the person that's with his adoptive mom, now doesn't even want Stacey, or doesn't even want his wife talking to Stacey.
I probably met him in like 2020 or 2019, something like that, a couple years back. And then I helped him with this. There was this other gentleman, his name was Labor Dave, and he had a lawn mowing business and a furniture moving business. And that's where we met, is when I was a U-Haul driver and I helped go around and move everybody's furniture, me and him.
What
and
town was that in?
That was probably in like Boise, Idaho.
Okay, so you met him in Boise.
Yeah.
So he's saying in, 2019, 2020, he meets Stacey, they're doing work together for Labor Day and everything else. But in 2019 is when he starts his landscaping business with Eric. And the landscaping business address is at Eric's address. Eric being the landscaper that he hangs out with 2 days after Michael's abduction, and is who he's been with up in Post Falls, Idaho, since he left, hiding, in quotations, hiding from law enforcement. But here he's saying he's working with Stacey in 2019, 2020. Then what was going on with his business, his landscaping business with Eric? I just caught this because it's all new information that I have found out since the last time I watched this fully, and I forgot that he talks about Labor Day here, and now he's putting in like specific dates. So that's strange.
According to his court stuff, he got out of jail or prison or jail in May of 2020.
Yep. So right after he got out, just a little bit after he got out, that's when I met him. And I thought he was just a normal person, but comes to find out, the more you hang out with him every day, stuff started to get weird from there.
Like what?
Stuff started to get weird from there. What weird?
Weird.
Like just daily activities and daily behavior. He'd try to be a businessman, but he tried to take on more than he could. He tried to bite off more than he could chew. You know what I'm saying? So he'd try to say, hey, we're going to go out here and we're going to buy this storage shed and we're going to move it all here. And then we'll resell it and we'll make good money and it'll be good for the family. You guys ready to go out and do that? And then when it came time to doing the work, you'd find just me and Sarah trying to scoop things up. And he'd be like, come on, guys. I can't walk around right now because my feet hurt because I'm overweight.
Wow, interesting. Yeah.
He'd make you feel bad for the guy. And then you're like, well, shit, I'll give you a hand. And then after that, you're just getting looped into one thing and another. And then it's just, he just never.
And that all sounds like Stacey trying to scam ways to make money, to try to do all of that, but too lazy to take care of anything his damn self, and putting everything on Brandon and Sarah.
Never stops being, he's ambitious, but he can't do that much because he's overweight. So I tried to get him skinnier and I tried to.
Callie Dime, Labor Dave was beat up by one of his employees got mad at Labor Dave for not giving him his paycheck when he wanted his pay. Like it wasn't even payday and he wanted his pay. And the employee came back with like 3 other men and then beat the hell out of Labor Dave. Baseball bats, the whole 9 yards.
Say, hey, let's go out and get out of the house, get off the couch, quit eating chips. You know, you're going to die soon. You're going to freaking die if you don't quit eating, man. You got to get some exercise or your heart's literally going to stop beating.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. I feel you. I saw, you know, what he looks like and whatnot. What is his habits? Like, what does he like to do for fun?
That's a good thing you bring up there. He likes to just watch TV and eat junk food and not really do a whole lot of nothing other than talk on the phone.
And we heard the same thing from Hot Mess. All Stacey wanted to do was talk on the phone, be on the phone, have his phone on speaker all the time, sit and eat and do nothing but watch TV and be on the phone.
That's that.
Talk on the phone to who?
Whoever he can find that'll listen to him.
Interesting. Did he have an iPhone or an Android?
He had one of those iPhones, like a iPhone 12, 13, 14. He always loved his little iPhone.
Do you know if he had AT&T, Verizon? What phone network did he say he had?
I think he was with Verizon when he started his new company, and then he went with those guys, and then the bill got up in excess of $15,000-$20,000.
Wow.
And then from there, he couldn't pay it, and he said, oh, no, what do I do? Can you help me with my bills? And I said, well, sure. Let's look at the bill. How big is it? And you look at it, and it's like 20 grand, and he's just on there buying, like, new little phones and this and that, and you know, he's always taken on more than he can handle. And that was the biggest issue with me and Stacey.
Yeah. Did he ever talk about kids?
Kelly, it wasn't on the police report. It was actually on the news. We talked about it during the Stacey Wondra shit show, the YouTube shit show, and Labor Dave got mentioned. Somebody mentioned the fact that he was beat up. I believe it was Slim. And then we were all like, oh my gosh, let's look into that. So I actually played the news clip that talked about what happened. And Labor Dave was actually talking about what happened to him. His face was like all messed up. They really did almost like KILL him for real. It was awful. And he said something about, you know, one of his employees not getting paid when they wanted to get paid. So he went and got other guys and came back with baseball bats and, yeah, just beat the hell out of them.
Not really. Not usually, no.
I might be able to find the links again that I used. I don't know if I saved them or not, but if I did, I will send them over to you.
That's why this strikes me as strange. The only time that happened is like once or twice during the whole 1 or 2 years that I was there. And he's like, you know, I'd like to have a kid for when I pass away, you know, because it'd make my wife happy. Just like you guys are saying on your video or whatever. That is true. It's confirmed.
So the videos that I've put out that you've seen, what is not true that you've seen that you noticed that with me covering this case, what is not true?
The only thing that like upset me or kind of got to me a little bit is the whole part about me and my Montana friends or whatever. That's Guthrie Builders, and he does a good job. He builds houses and does siding and stuff. And me and him are great friends. We have been for years. But one day he got in a bad situation where someone was trying to take his life too, and he tried to steal one of my pickups that I owned. It was like a 01 Ford or something. And then from there, me and him got mad, but then we kind of put it behind us and we got past it a little bit. But now me and him are best friends, and we wish to build in the future and help the community out. And I just didn't want something like that coming in between it all.
Understandable. And have you watched my other videos about covering this case?
I don't know. I just seen the one that you put out today, this morning or whatever. And I think it's pretty good. You do a pretty good job.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm still suspect of you, but I still appreciate you speaking, and it puts more like you got nothing to hide, right? You got nothing to hide by
Right.
sharing all this, because usually what
Yes.
the experience with people have done things, unless you're psychotic and you just are guilty and you're just acting like you're not. And there's people out there.
I love JLR right there. Unless you're psychotic, I just got to rewind that because it's true. Like, unless he is psychotic, unless he's just crazy, like coming up and talking about all of this stuff is just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, wait. What did I do?
The only thing that like upset me or kind of got to me a little bit is the whole part about me and my Montana friends or whatever. That's sure, let's look at the bill. How big is it? And you look at it and it's like 20. I'd like to have a kid for when I pass away, you know, because it'd make my wife happy. Just like you guys are saying on your video or whatever. That is true. It's confirmed.
So the videos that I've put out that you've seen, what is not true that you've seen that you noticed that with me covering this case, what is not true?
The only thing that like upset me or kind of got to me a little bit is the whole part about me and my Montana friends or whatever. That's Guthrie Builders, and he does a good job. He builds houses and does siding and stuff. And me and him are great friends. We have been for years. But one day he got in a bad situation where someone was trying to take his life too, and he tried to steal one of my pickups that I owned. It was like a 01 Ford or something. And then from there, me and him got mad, but then we kind of put it behind us and we got past it a little bit. But now me and him are best friends, and we wish to build in the future and help the community out. And I just didn't want something like that coming in between it all, to be honest.
Understandable. And have you watched my other videos about covering this case?
I don't know. I just seen the one that you put out today, this morning or whatever. And I honestly think it's pretty good.
Sorry, you guys, I lost my place and accidentally clicked the wrong place, but here it comes, him just like, unless you're a psychopath.
You do a pretty good job.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm still suspect of you, but I still appreciate you speaking, and it puts more like you.
I'm still suspect of you.
Got nothing to hide, right? You got nothing to hide by sharing all this, because usually what the experience with people have done things, unless you're psychotic and you just are guilty.
And look at the look on Brandon's face when he says, unless you're psychotic and you just are guilty. He doesn't even know what to think about that.
And you're just acting like you're not.
Big gulp right there. Unless you're guilty and you're just acting like you're not. I love JLR. He gets right down to the point.
And there's people out there like that, like Chris Watts.
And there he goes, gulping again, another big swallow. He doesn't even know what to think about it. Unless you're psychotic, unless you're really guilty.
You know, there's other cases that, you know, he goes right in front of the cameras and says he didn't do it, whatever. But
and then compares him to Chris Watts. I mean, geez.
Willing to talk. You're willing to share your side. And
yes, sir.
Touching his face, touching his glasses, all of that. Those are all nervous tics that you do when you're uncomfortable, which he's doing.
You know, people will have a different perspective about this, because there's millions of people following this case.
Holy smokes.
Holy smokes. Brandon, you're a dork. Just saying. Like he just like to breathe all that in, to take in everything that he just said, and being compared to Chris Watts, and he's just holy smokes.
Yeah, I can only imagine if someone would have
having to take a deep breath right there. He's been swallowing and gulping, and there he just had to. He is so stressed out right now. He's ready to get the frig off panel.
Took my kid, what it would have done to my heart. You know what I mean? Like, I have a kid of my own, and I only have one. She's 10. She's like 5 years older than him. And I got a nephew that's like the same age as him, 5 or 6. And this kid has the same birthday as me, June 24th.
This kid, it's Michael Vaughan, and they do share the same birthday. But that doesn't connect you in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't mean anything. Like, it means nothing. So what? You share the same birthday. That doesn't mean you're connected. That doesn't mean you guys have like this, some kind of like connection that what the hell does it even mean? He tries to make it sound like there's some kind of connection between them just because they share a birthday. Someone in chat has my birthday. Me and you are connected. Didn't you know that? Don't you know about my whole entire life? Aren't we just like the bestest of friends? We're just so connected. No, doesn't even make sense. Come on now. And the way he's bobbing his head, you know, yeah, you have a daughter. That doesn't, because there are many people that do bad crimes that have children. So just because you have a child doesn't make you a good person. Just because you share the same birthday, Brandon, with Michael Vaughan doesn't mean you're connected or that you're a good person.
Oh, wow.
So
Look at
it's
the way
not
he
just
bobs
something
his
that
head
affects
back
me a
and
little
forth.
bit. It affects
Somebody
me a lot every day.
mentioned
I have
this.
one. She's 10. She's like 5 years older than him. And I got a nephew that's like the same. Imagine if someone would have took my kid, what it would have done to my heart. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, think about that. What would have happened to your heart if somebody would have taken your child, Brandon? Think about that. Now, think about what Brandy and Tyler and all of Michael Vaughan's siblings are feeling because you had part in his abduction and murder. How do you think all their hearts feel?
I have a kid of my own.
Now, watch the head bobbing.
I only have one. She's 10. She's like 5 years older than him. And I got a nephew that's like the same age as him, 5 or 6. And this kid has the same birthday as me, June 24th.
Oh, wow.
So it's
And he can't even say Michael's name. He's got his head going like a chicken. He's trying so hard with his head moving forward, just like the CH when she or he is talking in after like the lives and stuff. They'll come in, they'll make comments and stuff, and talks about the way he moves his head, like he really wants to make it a point, so he moves his head like that. What point is he trying to make? Say Michael's name. There's no connection between you and Michael because you share a birthday. And just because you have a daughter or a young nephew doesn't mean you're a great guy.
It's not just something that affects me a little bit. It affects me a lot every day. And I think about it and I can't stop.
It's something that affects me a lot every day. And I think about it and I can't stop. Why are you thinking about it every day? If you had nothing to do with Michael Vaughan's abduction, if you had nothing to do with his murder, why are you thinking about it every day? Why can't you stop thinking about it?
Stop thinking about it. So it's like I need to tell who's lying and who's not. And I think
so he needs to tell who's lying and who's not as he sits here on JLR's live line. They're all liars.
because Stacey is a liar and he just said stuff to attract attention because he wants to be the cool guy and because
he doesn't like that Stacey wants to be the cool guy. Remember, you guys, because he's the cool guy on the block.
A low self-esteem because he's a bigger guy. And, you know, I love Stacey, I love Sarah, but I'm not proud about what they've done and what they...
And he pretty much says right there, I love Stacey and I love Sarah, but I'm not proud about what they've done. What'd they do, Brandon? What did they do? Say it. And if you were with Sarah all day and you're not proud of what they've done, you were with Sarah all day. What did she do? You were there because you were with Sarah all day, remember?
Do and you know, if they are...
And he realizes what he just said right there. I love Stacey and I love Sarah, but I'm not proud about what they did. Like, he caught himself. Let's rewind that part right there.
And because he has a low self-esteem because he's a bigger guy. And, you know, I love Stacey, I love Sarah, but I'm not proud about what they've done and what they...
I love Stacey and I love Sarah, but I'm not proud about what they've done.
Do and you know, if they are involved...
And then he stops. And what they do, and if they are involved,
forward, and
then it turns into if they are involved. It goes from, and I'm not proud about what they've done, and then it goes to if they are involved. He slips big time right there. Big slip.
They're not. We need to find out who really did do this, because it's not just something little.
Well said, Brandon. I appreciate the conversation. Let's talk again in the future. I'm going to share what we discussed. I'm going to share this so people can get a perspective of your thoughts and what transpired that day. Maybe people will give feedback with questions, and then I'll be able to follow up with some questions that people ask. You know, I try to think of as many questions as I can ask you, you know what I mean? But I don't know all the questions, or I might have forgot questions, and there might be key points that I missed that someone else might have, you know?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
So,
I understand.
and definitely, if you learn anything or anything, definitely go to the police about it, you know?
Yeah. Right, and I will, because, you know, and it's not just like the whole thing of where I'm trying to pay off the police or the police are paying off me. It's just like a real.
What are they even talking about? And it's not like I'm paying off police or police are paying off me. What are you talking about? Paying off? There ain't no payoffs. Fruitland ain't going to pay nothing out to anybody. You're not paying off. Why would he even mention that? Why would he even say that? There again, spinning a narrative. He just wants people to think another thing.
Thing that happened that day in that neighborhood, and they want to know what happened. I want to know what happened. You want to know what happened.
And there he goes. His head again.
And my whole family. And it's just like, if you guys know something you're not telling me, tell me now. Or, you know, we just want answers.
Yeah. Did you see the Vaughns out there looking for Michael that day he went missing? Did you see?
I think they went out there earlier, but me personally, I've never met him. Still to this day.
Yeah.
Misty's still in Livingston, Montana.
All right, brother. Stay safe. Thanks for the conversation. We'll talk again soon.
Okay. Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Brandon. So there you have.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what it is with him and his head. I don't know why he feels like him and Michael are connected because they share the same birthday. It's aggravating. Just reading what's in chat. Yeah, word salad. Exactly. Thank you, hair curlers and crime. $52,000 reward. If you have any information about Michael's abduction, please call Fruitland tip line 208-642-6006. Yeah, he did. He dumped her. Or she dumped him. I don't know. They both say the opposite. She says he left. She says she left him. He says he left her. I don't know. Yeah, thank you for reminding me, Shannon, because she says, I wonder if since blocking JLR, he has ever unblocked him. Yeah, I don't know. But yes, a week after this interview, JLR sees that Brandon's been named a suspect. He gets a hold of Brandon in Messenger. There is another video. I showed it yesterday. And he tries to get a hold of Brandon to let him know, talk to him, try to get him to turn himself in and everything. So because the police want to talk to him, and Brandon ends up blocking him. You know, that's what Brandon does. Like, he's told me he'd come back on panel. He hadn't come back on panel. He got up on my panel, talked to me, said some things. He knows he messed up, sane, and turned around and fled Livingston, Montana. I really do think it's because he sat down and he watched that live over and over and over again, realized how many mistakes he made. And in that interview, it scared the crap out of him, and he had to get the hell out of Livingston before cops came and got him. And guess what? He made a good call for himself, I guess. He was lucky as hell, because the next thing you know, here comes law enforcement with a plea deal to Livingston, Montana. He's not there. Talks to Misty, talks to Dan Guthrie, says, I've got a plea deal for Brandon. They get him on the phone. talk with him. He turns it down. The plea deal is give us Michael now. We will take the death penalty off the table. And we don't know from there what. Dan says that they gave him 48 hours or they were going to come back with a warrant. Since then, Brandon did get arrested in Kootenai County, which is in Post Falls, exactly where I said he was, and spent the weekend, got out that Monday, even though he had a warrant for his arrest in Canyon County to spend 30 days there. But the thing is, I don't know about laws and misdemeanors. I don't know if they can send law enforcement up to Kootenai County and get him and bring him back down to Canyon County for 30 days on a misdemeanor warrant. I don't know what the laws are in Idaho about all of that or why they didn't. But I do know that law enforcement has a fire under their ass right now, and so does the district attorney, and there's a reason for it. So something's going on. Something's moving. There's even more movement. It's driving me crazy because I don't know about this movement. I've known about a lot of little things that are going on in the background. I have no clue what it is right now. I don't know if they're searching for Michael, what's going on, but something's going on. Callie says here, when is it going to sink into Brandon's head that this is never going away? We are never going away. Where is Michael, Brandon? Exactly.
And Brandon, you know what happened to our beautiful baby. Whether you were directly involved, but you know. You need to start talking. You need to come forward. Quit lying, quit hiding. Please tell us where Michael is. Let our family have some rest, please. Let us bring our baby home. We've worked tirelessly, endlessly. Law enforcement, stop protecting these criminals. It's time to tell the truth. It's time to own up. It's time to find Michael and bring him home and stop your BS.
DC Primetime says, I think we need to find you, please. We do need to find Michael. We know where Brandon is. You know, he's even been talking to a friend that is in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, right next to Post Falls. I was actually wondering when he got pulled over for that warrant and got arrested. He was driving a vehicle, so I'm wondering to myself, because he was talking about getting a new vehicle. He talked about getting a new Honda. He talked about getting a new Nissan or a Toyota or something on his Facebook. And I'm wondering if he ended up getting a new car, which I'm talking like from a lot or something. And then he's arrested for a warrant, which means that car would have been, towed away. Or was he driving one of Eric's or one of his friends' vehicles? Did the cops give the friends an opportunity to come get the vehicle, or did the vehicle get towed? If the vehicle did get towed, did it cause any friction between Brandon and Eric? Especially if it was like Eric's work vehicle, because he's driving crazy and erratic, right? So those are just some questions that I've been like going through my head a little bit. It's heartbreaking. We hear Brandy constantly begging Brandon, Stacey, all of the suspects, where's Michael? Where's my son? Please, please tell me. We've done everything. We've worked with law enforcement. We've done everything. We just want our son home. These suspects are monsters. They have no heart. They have no feelings. They don't have any sympathy or empathy for the Vaughan family to just come out and say, this is where he is. Even though 2 are in prison. Even though all 4 know that DA has already written up charges. They all know they're going to get arrested at some point, and yet still no heart, just monsters sitting there thinking of ideas on how to get out of it. I can get out of this. I know I can. What can I do? What can I say? Lynn says, please, Brandon, please give my sister and her family the peace they deserve and give them Michael. I plead with you, Brandon, for the same thing. Please, please tell law enforcement everything you know. Get it off your chest. Free yourself of the guilt that you're feeling, if you feel any of it at all. If you think that coming forward and admitting what knowledge you do have, or admitting what you may have done or what your involvement was, is harsh because you don't want the world, you don't want your friends, you don't want your family to think that you're capable of something like this, just imagine, Brandon, what's going to happen when you are handcuffed, when you are arrested for the murder and abduction of Michael Vaughan. And you've lost this opportunity to sign this plea deal. And you do end up getting the death penalty, which is the firing squad in Idaho now, and is going into effect this summer. It's not going to matter. You think you're protecting your friends, your family, or, protecting yourself. Let's just face it. That's what you're doing. You're protecting yourself. You don't want people to know the real side of you. But yet you threaten to hurt people every time somebody asks you about Michael. Threaten a TikToker. We already are seeing the true side of you. We already know you have some kind of involvement here. Everybody's talking about it on YouTube. You've been a suspect on the news. So why not just come forward and say what you did and take the plea deal? Why not? You're eventually going to look like the bad guy anyway. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. Sorry. You're gonna look worse for not saying anything. You're going to look worse in the long run, Brandon. The longer you sit on this. And just saying, if anything happens to Brandy and you don't say anything, that is going to make you even look more monstrous. Just saying. But Brandy is doing better as far as her health. Things are moving in a better, more positive direction right now. So let's just keep moving forward. Yes, pretty assessor, preach it. I am. I'm frustrated. Man, after talking with Brandy yesterday and hearing her voice message and everything, I got a fire under my ass too, and I'm just sick of it. I'm just so sick of candy coating the shit. I'm over it. There's 4 suspects. One of them murdered Michael Vaughan. One of them abducted him. One of them buried him in the Wondra's backyard, and one of them moved Michael to an unknown location. One of these 4 suspects knows where Michael Vaughan is. They are going to be charged. The day is coming. We don't know what the holdup is. It could be that they're still searching for Michael. We know that they were just searching up at the cemetery. That could be what the holdup is. We don't know if anything, or that we don't know if they found anything, or if they anything. We don't know. But let's just stop candy coating it. There are people out there that know where Michael Vaughan is, and they're not talking. It's time to talk. The clock is ticking. Time is running out. Sign the damn plea deal, Brandon. We all know that all four of you are monsters. Michael Vaughan was abducted July 27th of 2021, and the four named suspects are Brandon SHURTLIFF, Adrian Lucian, and Sarah and Stacey Wondra. Michael was abducted in Fruitland, Idaho, when he was out wandering his neighborhood. This is a crime of opportunity. These four suspects were out on July 27th of 2021 scouting. What were they scouting for? A child, for a teenager, a lady of the night? Don't know. But because Michael Vaughan was wandering around his neighborhood, it's a crime of circumstance. They saw him, they took him. And somebody knows something. There has to be more tips out there. Please, if you know anything, be Michael's hero. Be the Vaughan family's hero. And call the Fruitland tip line at 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Let law enforcement decide if your tip is credible or not. You can collect over $52,000. You can remain anonymous. If you're scared to death, go in and talk to Fruitland face-to-face. Bring somebody with you for support, but just do it. Talk. The DA has already written up the charges. They're sitting there. Maybe more charges are being added to it right now. Maybe that's what all the hype is. Maybe they've found something else and they're adding that to the charges. We don't know. We're not privileged to that information. But we know law enforcement and the DA are working hard right now. And there has been so much movement. From the time that Brandy came out and said the DA wrote up charges on all four suspects, she saw them, her tears on the paperwork as she's reading them. The horrific details and evidence of the charges against all four suspects. Then she got to confront Stacey Wondra. He was then arrested shortly after. Then confession footage comes out from Stacey Wondra. That's released. And then we got to hear Stacey say in his own words that Brandon SHURTLIFF bound Michael up with duct tape in the spare room at his mom's house. Then Brandon SHURTLIFF came on my live on panel. Now we know there was a plea deal for Brandon that he turned down like an idiot. We know they've been searching up at the cemetery. Man, the last 4 or 5 months, y'all, shit's going down. Law enforcement is not messing around. And now something else is going on? Justice is coming for Michael. Whether one of these four suspects, one of these four monsters decides to start talking or not, justice is coming. There will be charges. Again, if you have any tips regarding Michael's abduction, any information about these four suspects or anybody whatsoever involved in Michael's abduction and murder, please call law enforcement's tip line 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. We're Monkey's Army. We're not going anywhere. It is time. It is been over time. It is time for somebody to talk and say something. It's time for justice. I would love to know that the Vaughan family knows where Michael is and that he came home. Even though we know Michael is no longer with us on earth and he's in heaven now, I would still love for the family to know where he is. Barnes & Noble True Crime. You need to play the replay. There are so many people that are close to Brandy that just listen to Brandy when she's talking about everything that's going on. And it's just heart-wrenching. It's just heart-wrenching. Kelly says, why did Brandon get so mad at his mom for allowing law enforcement to go up to the cemetery? Yeah. Why did you get so mad, Brandon? Why did you get so mad? Lynn says, Brandon, you know where Michael is. Just do the right thing and say it. Tell where Michael is. I can't wait till one of these four suspects, or all four suspects, I should say, have charges against them. Sarah and Stacey get served in prison, that they're going to be there for a lot longer, and now they're looking at the death penalty, and then Adrian and Brandon gets to join them. I don't think these four suspects realized just how strong the Vaughan family was and just how Brandy was just gonna go for it. I don't think the suspects realized just how big Monkey's army is. We are a big army of people that are going to refuse to ever stop looking for justice, finding justice, talking about Monkey, sharing Monkey. Please share Monkey. Share his story, share lives. I don't even care if they're my lives or not. Just share lives, share flyers, share. Social media is so hardcore. Like, you, even if nobody likes your post, doesn't mean somebody didn't see it. And as long as you're posting up flyers and as long as you're posting up the information, people are seeing the information. Trust me. Mixborn, thank you for being here. Yeah. Kelly says, Brandon, nothing to hide, right? If you don't have anything to hide, then go talk to law enforcement. It's that simple. Sarah's suspicious. Thank you for coming in today. All we want is Michael to come home. Please bring Michael home. Well, everybody, I appreciate you all coming in for supporting Michael Vaughan, for supporting the Vaughan family, for being a part of Monkey's army. Oh, I'm sorry you got a migraine. Boo. Those are horrible. I appreciate everybody, coming in, going to my daughter's house. We're having a birthday party for my husband tomorrow, and his birthday's on Thursday, and I got a special little date night planned for him on Thursday. I'm going to be back on Friday, but I do not know if I'm going to be back on Friday to do some new information on Kyron Horman, or if we're going to start analyzing Brandon's interview that I did with him on Friday. I may just want to start making that like for next week. I just haven't made up my mind yet. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to give up. I can't. I love Michael way too much now. You know, being asked to be here, you know, asked to do Michael's case, and in the beginning wasn't too sure, like, you know, because I only did Kyron Horman and a couple of other kids, very, you know, little tiny things. But being a part of this, I feel just so blessed to have a new friendship with Brandy, to get to know the Vaughan family, to get to know Callie, to get to know Lynn, Brandy's sisters. I feel truly blessed for all of the amazing people I've met in this journey. Avi is also one of them that I met through a few people in Monkey's Army. Yeah, I will never stop. I will just never, ever stop. You guys are way too kind. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to put up Michael's video. Opal, good to see you, hun. I hope you're having an amazing day. We love you. We love your heart. Hope you're doing well. All right, you guys. I hope you guys have a great night. And I will see you Friday.